Mhm.
All right. Good evening, morning, day, night, whatever that's for you. Everybody, today we have another episode of Crypto Artist Spotlight, and it's an special one because with me is Pinder Van. What is your surname?
Armin.
Van Arme, exactly. And he's a special artist because he does stuff using AI and not alone. No, 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 no. He's doing it with robots, much cooler than you do. So super stoked to have you with us. I've told you it before. You have an incredible build here in Somnium.
Oh,
With
thanks.
each floor of the build is different year of the art and of the development, and we stumbled upon that build several weeks ago, or maybe already a month ago, and we walked around with with the community, and we kind of like wondered like, what is this? We were looking at the images and everything else, and we understood some things, but we definitely wanted to hear more, and that is why I'm very happy to have you here with us today, and definitely want to hear more about how you started, what's behind that. So yeah, we have also audience here with us today. Some of our community members. Hello. So yeah, let's dive directly into it. Maybe the first question from my side would be: can you say something about yourself? How did you actually start with the art? And how did you get to do AI art?
Okay. Well, thank you, Arthur, and thanks everyone for coming. This is actually exciting. I found this spot in Somnium 6, and I actually picked this spot because it's halfway from here, from Waypoint or City Center to Mocha. So it's awesome that it worked and people saw it. So my wife made fun of me when I made this place because she considers it like an over the top, I guess, just like history of my own art. So uh, the dates on the side, it goes from 2005 to 2020, and that's sort of like, I've been making AI art for 15 years, and when I started there wasn't much of it. Of course, people have been making AI art from the day scientists started using AI. It's always been around, like Soluit, all these other artists. It's just artists do whatever the cool new thing is. So it's not like AI art is new, but as popular as AI art has gone in the last 2 3 years, when I started back in 2005, it wasn't as prevalent. So back then, it's been so fun going through the development of. I programmed these robots to paint, and they started off as printers just to help me paint.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really fun that over 15 years they've just gone crazy with not my advances, but with the community's AI advances. All these amazing artists and scientists are releasing more and more AI that it's really easy to use and to incorporate into your own art. And I've just been like, every time something comes out, I add it to my robots. And so
Awesome.
this, like, if you start, yeah, thanks. So that's what this is. All these levels are like a reverse Guggenheim. It's like you start in 2020, the new stuff, and you work all the way back. But if and I put even the embarrassing stuff there, like the AI from the beginning, like my
Right.
horrible
Right.
paintings from when I was first starting, just so you can see the progress.
All,
So
all
yeah,
right.
that's what this place is.
And so have you been working with AI before? You've been more than an artist. What was your beginnings? Like, how did you get to the point where you are today?
Yeah. I've always been a painter, like, from high school. Everyone's always painted, even when they're kids, but always been a painter. And then I had a family and I started running out of time. And that's where the idea of making a robot to print paintings for me, print the background. So if a painting took like 10 hours, the idea was like, I'm going to get a robot or a machine, a printer to paint with a brush the first 9 hours. And then, after the kids are asleep and
Nice.
and I have time at night, I just do the last hour. And that's the first robots, and you'll see that on the top floor. It's just
I
like,
must, I'm not saying that you're lazy, but there's a saying that if people that whole advancements in the world comes from people being lazy. I think something is in there, but it's definitely
yeah.
it's awesome. It's amazing. So all right, and how did you get to actually kind of a crypto art community? Because you're a big part of that. You know a lot of people from the crypto art community.
Yeah.
What's your story there? How did you discover blockchain
I
stuff?
guess luck.
All right.
Luck. I always, like, well, luck in that, like, I collect. I'm as big a fan of AI art as I am a practitioner. So, I was searching out a bunch of AI artists like Triple Code, and the only place to buy A art like 2 years ago was on Super Rare.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh my goodness, this is cool. And then I got into it, and I think I was pretty early, but I'm not sure how early. I think maybe I don't know, but I got into crypto art with Super Rare like 2 years ago, and
Cool.
I put something out once a month.
All right, all right. So
So,
before we continue, and I'll ask you more questions, of course, but we've stand here next to this video. We probably will watch a little bit of this video, and you can comment while we're watching. So let's hit play.
Artificial intelligence advances
Okay.
beyond human understanding and begins to change civilization in ways we can't conceive of. Many fear the singularity.
needs. Want to try the gray?
Not Pindar Van Arman. He's doing his small part to make it happen by teaching robots to make art. He's writing code that nobody's seen before and thinks his machines are on the precipice of creative autonomy.
Here's a de Kooning, and this one, the style is like just as interesting.
Okay, I'll be pausing and asking questions. I'm hearing she's saying the narrator is saying like you are writing the code. So do you take the publicly available AI or whatever you can get on, and then you modify it for your needs, or how is the process? How does the process work?
That's a good question. A little of everything, both. I like to be as close to it as possible. Like my first robots were like, I don't know if I have pictures of them in here, but my first robots were made out of wood, and it was so custom that I would even wrap iron bolts to make electromagnets, and I'd wrap them
Nice.
with coil and like. So it was like it was that, and I was like, I want to write every single line of code, and I
Mhm.
did that for a long time. But then with neural nets, it just got too complicated. Although I do run the neural networks on my own boxes and I do write them, but I borrow heavily. Like I borrow heavily from anything I can find on GitLab or GitHub.
Got
I
it.
find some other artist that's doing something amazing, and I see if it works. But I would say, it's funny. I would say half my code is homegrown stuff I write, like
Mhm.
AI I write, and the other half is stuff I get from the community, and then I mix them together and have them I guess fight it out
Cool.
to like make pieces of art.
All right, got it. Let's continue watching.
Wow,
It like,
that looks cool.
and here is Guernica,
Mm-hmm.
a little darker, but transfer get
Yeah,
this
that
dog
looks
is-
like human
Oh, that's an
suffering on
amazing
my
piece.
face.
Here's the painting that.
Pindar is a computer security
This was when,
contractor in Northern Virginia.
this is
But for
when
the
my
last
studio
12
was in my
years,
dining
he's been
room,
making
and then
robot
it's my
artists on the
living room.
side.
Uh-huh.
And then it grew.
These
it kept on
portraits are made by
growing until
sending the
finally I had
computer
to
two
get,
images and running an
My wife was so
algorithm
sweet.
called
We had to get a
Stack.
second condo because it
Takes
took over
content
the,
and style
the
from
first
one
one.
and
Right.
applies it to the other.
Here's you, Marilyn Monroe.
So it doesn't quite capture what Andy Warhol was doing, though, right? Because, like, instead of just making my hair blonde, it gave me, like, Marilyn hair. So how would it have to progress to make it more in the style of Warhol?
Yeah, it doesn't really capture context right now. So style transfer does amazing things. And a lot of data scientists are trying to make this even better, including myself. We're trying to find a way to add the context to it. We just don't know how yet.
Another question I have when I'm looking at this and those images. So what you do right now is you make AI create digital representation of something, digital image, and then you make physical robots paint that digital image onto the physical
Yeah.
canvas. Now,
Yeah.
do you think about times where like you would be able to do something like this in VR? So basically it would be taking digital image and painting it digitally in the physical space inside virtual reality. Like you'll
Yeah.
bypass one day, you'll bypass the physical ones and go directly into like from digital to digital. Is that something you're thinking about? It just came into my mind when I was watching the images.
Yeah, someone's going to do that soon. It's strange. I'm working in reverse, right? I start in the digital, in digital world, and all my art's digital, and it comes into the physical,
Yeah.
and everyone's usually working the other way.
Yeah.
But maybe. But here's what's the big thing that I think is interesting about my robots, and this is just me, is not that it uses GANs or CNNs or all the latest AI. The thing is, it has a camera, and every couple of strokes, it takes a picture of the canvas. And then that goes into its algorithm saying, okay, here's the progress I've made. What should I do next?
Nice.
So it makes some marks, takes a step back, and then decides what to do based on those marks. And the cool thing about that is this randomness is added. Sometimes the paint drips, and that adds an error and actually thinks to itself, I got to go fix that. It has algorithms that'll go fix that drip. Or other times, like there'll be a mistake will be made, a drop will fall, and then that drop of paint that drops in some part of the canvas goes through a CNN, and like it gets turned into like a halo, and that comes back into the painting as like a happy accident that actually becomes part of the design.
Nice.
So I don't know if I can get that kind of randomness if I'm working in the digital world. It seems like everywhere I put a brushstroke, it put a brushstroke. Paint won't leak.
Right.
But someone's going to do that. There's awesome like art out there. This like Adobe has this wet brush, I think it's called, where it does you can paint in it, mimics. The paint will flow and fall. There's like there's so many good projects like that. Yeah, but that's why I like to work physically, and I like to see it, and I like that that there's this artifact. Even though I make them NFTs and I have time lapses for the NFTs, I like it that there's this physical artifact behind it. Like I was thinking about the other day, it's like the idea that popped into my mind was like this proof of work. These paintings take a week. It takes the robot 20,000 brush strokes, many layers, and so I think it's just like it's like back behind the NFT is this artifact.
Do you? Okay, I'll answer. I'll ask more questions later, and let's continue watching.
The hardware is pretty basic. The robots can be built for just a few $100s.
There's the AI working.
The special sauce is his software program, a decade in the making, called Cloud Paint.
She says that
Like
the hardware can be built for a couple $100s. Like those robots look cool. Like is that easy to build? Do you use out-of-shelf components only, or you have something designed especially for you?
I've been lucky recently, Archer. People are giving me robots now, and they're saying, like if you look at the robots downstairs, you'll see like it's like NASCAR. So, but my early robots, I built them with wood. I built them. There's a really cool build. If you want to build a painting robot, there's a really good build I've seen by someone where they took those rails that you get on your closets, that make your closets go back and forth, and they put motors on that, and that thing I think it was like a $200 build.
Nice.
So it's like put two XY arms, two arms to make an XY table, and make it for $200.
Cool.
It's all time versus
An
money.
artist, Cloud Painter remembers its past work and can try to improve it, and its style evolved over time. And the robots can see what they're doing because they use cameras to watch their work in progress and make adjustments.
I want them to always watch what they're painting, because that's when they make the really good decisions.
Do the robots ever create something that falls in the uncanny valley where it's kind of creepy?
I've been at exhibitions where a fellow artist has come and is like, I don't know whether to be really impressed with this or really disgusted with it.
Really impressed or really disgusted with this. This is cool,
In that I am trying to replicate human creativity. It does make some people uneasy.
Pindar can tell the robot to paint whoever walks in front of the robot's camera.
Hello.
So we are having a live interview here. So here are some new visitors came in. Yes, Pinder?
Well, I'm just really grateful for you all coming here. Like, this is making me so happy because I spent so much time building this. I didn't know I'd get so many visitors. So I'm really excited.
Yeah,
cool.
we're excited too. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I'm excited to listen and ask questions because that's a very interesting topic. So, all right. So let us quickly
Or you can
play
program
a
it
few
to
more
paint
minutes
something
of the
based on
video.
what's trending in Google News. But that still essentially
But he
means
basically
Pindar is the
explained us
artist, and the
they're
robot is
explaining
his
how
medium.
their art
Can
is
a
being
robot
born.
be creative?
Yeah, I definitely can be creative, but it's like a question of like, what level of creativity? Like, I think my robots, when they make portraits, they make all the same creative decisions I make.
It's actually making
So you are saying that your robots are making same creative decisions you make. Now, I have a question about that. So
Yeah, that's controversial.
yeah, let's, and I kind of agree, but I also try to kind of think and challenge myself in that and say, okay, so when we say robots can be creative, I think the main part of creativity of AI comes from random decisions on the random stuff, right? So there is something which you don't control because the robot doesn't know until that happens. And then when that happens, that affects something which happens next. That's what you explain also with some drops and stuff, but also I think a lot of other things come into place when this. So, and I think that's randomness. I mean, kind of like if a human brain, if you think about human brain, we're kind of the same, right? So you are looking at the canvas, you're painting, especially if you are not trying to paint a one-to-one tree or portrait, but you're painting something abstract. One stroke, some something affects you and then you do something else. It could be weather, sun, shadow, mood, music, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
And it's randomness. It's kind of like AI. If you give AI an ability to be random, that's how it is. What is the percentage of your AI being random stuff, and which percentage is programmed up front? Like if
Yeah.
AI is if painting the on the canvas, just rough estimation.
Uh, it's so hard to put a percentage on it, but I would say, first of all, it's not an artist, so like that's really, sometimes I talk to reporters or someone and they say, so it's an artist or it's doing the art. It's not, but the controversial part is I do go so far as saying it's creative, and it's really creative, and I'll answer the percentage things in a second the best I can, but.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a step back and consider one kind of artist, and one kind of artist is a portrait artist, right? And portrait artists paint portraits, and their whole goal is to get that canvas to look as much like the
Mm-hmm.
subject's face
Mm-hmm.
as possible. And a really simple algorithm for that is like that feedback loop I was talking about. You have an image in memory, you take a picture of the canvas, and then you just calculate where's the biggest difference between the canvas and my image in memory, make a couple brush strokes. And then after 20 brush strokes, take a picture of the canvas, ask that same question over and over again, and you'll make
Exactly.
a portrait.
Yeah.
And when you would never question whether a portrait artist was creative, but that's probably very close to the exact same process of a lot of portrait artists, not all. Some get a little abstract. So in that case, there's, I see it everything on a spectrum, and all art like ranges in creativity from a copyist who tries to make facsimiles. And their creative process is very similar to a printer or these creative feedback loops, and then all the way to like an abstract expressionist who's just going crazy, just throwing brush strokes on the canvas and trying to see how that affects them and go in a direction. So on the lower order uh, levels of creativity, the robot totally has it. It's easy for the robot to be as creative as us, to do feedback loops, to make a mark, see if it's closer to the portrait or not. It's actually better than me. I can't do portraits like my robots can do portraits.
Right.
Then you get into this, like, I found this thing out like 3 years ago, and it's in the video is Sal Transfer. There's like 3 or 4, gosh, it's been a long time, maybe 4 years ago. But shortly after it came out, it's like, you can give your photo and then you can show it to Picasso, like the painting over there is my son in the painting in the video.
Mm-hmm.
They're the one of Ellie Reeves. It's a Picasso crossed with one, and the robot's clever enough to decipher Picasso's style and apply it. Is the robot coming up with its own creativity? No, it's doing something very similar to someone that studies Picasso and does a
Right.
tribute to Picasso, not coming up with its own style. And so yes, it can apply style. And then right now with generative adversarial networks, new hot thing, they can even imagine new images like faces. So I guess so it can do all of that, but what it can't do is it can't create a new style. It can go all the way to copying Picasso and copy Picasso really well. But then what's next? And isn't that what great artists like right now are doing, is they take all the art that's from the past and then they make something new. So it can't make something new, but it can do everything but make something new.
Okay.
And we call it creative when other artists do it. So that's my argument for being creative. Some people disagree.
No, I actually
But
agree.
I think the robots
I
are.
think it makes sense. At least to me, it makes sense. Okay, so let's dive and explore some parts of some of the floors. Where do we start? Up, down? Guide us.
You guys want to? I would go up and look at the stick figures I began with. So you can
Let's
we'll
try.
go like.
Let's see. Let's go up. We're going up in the
Yeah.
in the upper floor.
I didn't
so
follow OSHA
it's
guidelines, so be careful.
2008.
Hey, Tango.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
going-
so let's talk about this image, for example, here.
Oh, great! Yeah.
So let's look. There's a woman, looks like a woman in a red hat, very kind of like abstracty thing. So what is this image about? Can you tell us?
I started doing portrait commissions, and the challenge to getting a portrait commission is you're trying to be flattering. You're trying to. I guess I like portraits because like when you think about robots, it's easy to get a robot, have it like spray random paint everywhere and do crazy things. So I like to control the randomness by seeing how abstract you can go while also capturing likeness and making someone flattering. So this was like an impressionistic portrait of a child, and I did it as a commission. Yeah, probably 10 years ago. around 10 years ago.
Wow.
That was the level of my robots back then.
And I mean, it looks. I mean, some artists paint like this on purpose, right? So the question is like, okay, so when you say there was a level of your robots at that time, that means that those flaws which we see on the image, they're not on purpose; they
Yeah.
are by accident, right?
Yeah, it looks like she's crying. Look, there's a white teardrop under her eye, and on her nose there's drips everywhere. It looks like I mixed the white paint too wet, and the robot wasn't sensitive enough to realize it. Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah, all the mistakes were by the robot, and the white seemed to be too runny.
Okay,
But it
and
worked
that,
out, and it repaired it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, I just wanted to say that piece of art. So it was a commission. So basically, someone owns that piece of art. Is it on blockchain?
Yeah.
It's not tokenized. It's a physical painting somewhere, hanging somewhere, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm torn about tokenizing my old stuff. I don't know if I should do it or not. I haven't decided. I don't think I will.
Oh, but just a
think it's
question.
just new
By the way,
stuff
just a
going
question.
Yeah.
When, and I don't know the answer. I'm asking as a non-artist person who doesn't know. Are you allowed to tokenize all piece of art which you created for someone else and sold it or gave it to someone else? Is that even allowed? Is it something artists can do or do? Because I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you one thing. That's a good question because I do portrait artists, and one thing I really respect is the privacy of whoever I do a portrait for. And I'm kind of like an old school portrait artist where I won't do portraits of people I don't meet or I don't know or I don't have a sitting with. So I would go to this person and I would say, hey, do you mind? And if they didn't mind, I would have no problem with it.
That answers the question. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we explore the other floor? Wait, are we going down, up, or down?
Yeah, we can go up and we can go further back. Do you see this one over here, Artur?
No, it didn't load for me yet. So we should go up.
All right, let's go on up and see what's
if it loads
upstairs.
later on. 2005. We're passing 2005, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Oh.
Here.
I like your avatar, man.
Here we have only this web browser actually. So what is this
really?
Cloud Painter? It's your website, right?
Yeah. Oh, if you want to see the new stuff, here's a good place. Go to Cloud Painter.
Yeah.
And check out the gallery.
Gallery, okay.
We can look at some. We can actually look at some of the art that's on the.
All right. Oh, nice. Oh, whoa. Okay.
Cool. Is it? Let's see. I'm going to go to the gallery too. You'll see some of the stuff that's. Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I don't know which ones you're showing, but
I'm on the top right now. So I see the girl with green eyes and picture. So which one should I go?
Any of them. The girl with green eyes is a good one. That's another. That's one of my favorites. That's like.
What's happening there? It's one eye below on her neck. The robot decided to have a third eye, or what is the story behind?
Yeah, it's always it's funny as I always do. I do as much. People like the glitchiness of the art. When you do style transfer and GANs, but it also makes you look. It puts eyeballs in your chin. So if you scroll down, you'll see another one of my daughter. It's like maybe I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
All right, you can see my daughter at first hated this because she had 3 eyes, and of course, like I was telling you, portraits are really, really personal, and so like everyone wants to look as good as they can, and sometimes I love doing these. This is the art I love doing. So I have 2 kinds of portraits I do. One is very realistic art, and not realistic, but representational. The other is these AI ones. The AI ones, you have to be brave because you never know how it's going to turn out. If you scroll right under my daughter, you'll see another one of my wife. She doesn't mind like getting all glitched out.
Oh, cool. That looks really cool, actually.
Yeah. Thanks. And then if you go to, this is a cool thing. You can go to hit process on the side there.
Process.
This will show what I wanted to show earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does everyone see that?
Oh, yeah. I can see that, yeah.
All right, so you can see it start. This is the process right now. It starts with a photo shoot, which on the far left, you can see my daughter just posing in front, and the camera's just. This is funny. I can get completely out of the loop. The robot has AI to like detect faces and start taking pictures, and then it throws those pictures. You can see the second column. It goes through a GAN. You can see the second column. It starts distorting the faces using GANs to try and generate new faces, new angles. And then on the bottom, you can see there's doing style transfer from all its previous paintings. So all the style it's learned over the years goes into again. And I guess there's one more animation. You can see it coming up with a stylized rendition painting. You can see the time lapse. You can see the final painting right there on the right.
Yeah, awesome.
And so that's my daughter. And
How many
that's
how many
sort of the
pictures does the
process right
robot
now.
need to actually process stuff? Is it only like 9 or more?
Like 4. I can get down to 4
Okay.
with good results. And
Right.
then and the 4, but the more you have, the better.
Do you use like
The more you
special
have.
cameras or just like webcam which we've seen on robot or some just a mobile phone
Yeah.
camera? Just normal stuff, right?
If you, yeah, the camera that you have, you can actually see it on the robot. It's right by the head of the robot if you look closely
Let me.
on this robot
Yeah,
right here.
yeah, I can see there. Yeah, it's right there. All right.
So let me see. Oh, if you hit AI art blog, let me see.
Yeah.
AI art blog's my other art.
Uh-huh.
You can see.
I'm loading. Yeah.
You can see when I do representational.
Oh, okay.
So scroll down, you'll see the robot and a bunch of representational portraits I do.
Oh, those are really nice.
And this is just using
And
feedback
this is
loops.
automatic.
These
Like,
aren't as
you didn't do anything for that portrait. So this was just a robot. I mean, you didn't paint anything on that portrait. It's just a robot, right?
Yeah. There's two lines of work basically. Like with the representational portraits, I call the robot autonomous and the whole project autonomous because it works completely autonomously.
Awesome.
So this is like it's learned all this AI and it just does it. The other stuff, the more colorful stuff, I work very closely with the robot. It's like me collaborating with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the difference between autonomous and other robots. And so yeah, that's that.
Okay. And okay, let's just quickly dive into the blockchain part of the equation.
Sure.
Just some questions. 1 second. Let me put it like this on you. So, the question I guess I have is like, first of all, what is the? I guess it's not a secret. Obviously, it's on a blockchain. What is the most expensive art you've sold on blockchain so far?
12. It was 12 ETH.
12 ETH. All right. So what do you think about what is happening lately? That we have some names, big names or bigger names coming to the scene, and then you know we've seen yesterday or day before yesterday the record record sale of Batman for $111,000. First of all, what do you think about all of that? And second of all, where do you think this is going? Like, where do you think there is a floor for that, or do you think it's like an infinite, space of abilities, or for people collecting art? Because the art market is huge, like conventional art market is huge. So that's basically there's no ceiling on what could be done in the blockchain art. So how do you actually perceive that whole market how it is evolving?
Wow. First of all, I love it. Whenever there's a record, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It just helps out everyone in that thing. And it's like, and there's so many different artists with so many different styles that when someone does something, I'll put it this way. Now that someone sold something for $100,000, no one's going to feel crazy about buying something for $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it just helps every artist out there. I remember there was a false start and things got kind of screwed up 2 years ago. Christie's had a AI art auction. I don't know if you guys heard about this.
No.
And Obvious sold. The Obvious was an AI artist at the time, a collective of 3 people in France.
Mm-hmm.
And they sold, and it went to auction. Surprisingly, it went, instead of selling for $40,000, went all the way up to $452,000, a piece of AI art. And I couldn't be more happy because I was like, a couple years before that, no one would even consider AI art. And I was like, wow, if this thing's selling for $500,000, the AI art market's here. But then it turned into a big controversy with a lot of people arguing that the code was stolen, and it got really ugly. And then Christie's hasn't had another AI art sale because there was like, I don't want to get too much into it, but there was just controversy over where the AI art comes. Like, I'm honest with everyone. It's like I borrow a lot of my AI art, but I make it my own. And that's the way open source is. So the person that owned the open source was upset that they weren't getting the 400. Open source was released. Someone used the open source to code to make these paintings, made $452,000 off it. And the person that released the open source was angry about it, and it became very ugly. But it ruined the AI art market. I mean, it could have launched 2 years ago. They could have been like, based on that, we could have said, wow, Christie's that sold for $452,000. Here's 10 more artists. Let's have another one. But it hasn't happened because it was just so ugly. So that's why whenever an artist does something that gets that up, no art. Every artist should just be as excited as possible.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and so I love it that this keeps on happening. It seems almost like a weekly event now. There's a new
Yeah,
record.
it's amazing.
You know, it used to,
It's
or like every month, and then and they're always new collectors, right, Artur? It's like always this new collector that was never in the scene before, and then you know that new collector is going to get hooked. Just like all of it, I'm a hooked collector. I collect a lot. And then once you get hooked, and like it sounds like you are with Natural Warp, I'm sure you have a lot of others. Oh, I've seen your place. You have many. Once
Yeah,
you get hooked, you can't, you know, like they want more, and I can't.
I mean, I do
think of
collect.
anything
I do
better.
collect. Of course, not on the scale of $100,000. I do it on my own scale, but yet, you know, I buy art which I like. And for me, actually, it it became a thing just because, you know, there is a place in VR where I can, you know, in Somnium where I can actually go and explore the art, and where I can visually put my art pieces next to each other, and then I imagine visually, spatially, right? Because for me, like yesterday, we were having a daily meetup, and I bought an art from Ivan on Tech. He had this big boy pants thing he was selling on Rarible. Funny stuff, but a few days before that, I bought from a lot of money his art piece about IQ tests of NFT, where he was like, save as this kind of art. Very cool, funny art piece. So I bought that and I placed it in my gallery. And next to that piece, there was a free space. And once I saw the Ivan on Tech stuff, I said, you know, it actually fits very well into this kind of meme corner or whatever you call it. You know, like a very, you know, sarcastic art corner. And that's why I bought it, because I imagined that art piece when I looked at the browser. I imagined that art piece hanging in my VR gallery, and I said, okay, I need that to fill in this gap. I need that to be there, and that's the only reason I bought it. I kind of like the art, but also that's the reason I bought it, and that's what drives me. Like, what is your take on VR, general, like VR worlds, and just collecting art in the browser, or having those tokens in your wallet, or representing them like Mocha does, for example, or many other people here in Somnium, by collecting it in VR? Where do you go more? Like, how do you see it in the future?
I don't know. It's like a little bit of flexing. You know, you like if you get a piece of art. It's kind of one of the fun things about working with finding new artists. I collect AI art, the NFTs. Is I love finding one that just comes out, a new artist, and then try and get them. You know, get them. If you get onto an artist fast, you're gonna get artwork for like 1 ETH. It used to be a lot less, but you know, or 1 and then maybe 2 ETH. And then if they get popular, all of a sudden you have something that everyone else is paying 10 ETH. And there's this sort of like this pride of like, I saw the talent early. For me, it's easy though, because I just buy it all. So it's not like I'm like finding the talent. I'm just, if it's an AI artist and it's like new, I'm getting it as soon as possible. But yeah, and then you flex a little. You get to show everyone's like, I was the hipster. I was the early one in before everyone else. That's fun.
Right. Yeah.
So like everyone's heard of X Copy, of course, right? Yeah. So I bought his first piece. And I'm proud of that. And then I sold it, and I regret selling it. But I also have his third piece, and that's sort of like, hey, that's how long I've been doing this. So
Cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And it gives you a little like you're part of the community, and you've been supporting it for a while, as well as like, you know, riding it. So
Do you think that showcasing an art in VR world, like Somnium, in gallery, or built up gallery for that, do you think it's helping the value of the art? It's boosting the value of the art. It lets people. I mean, it lets people to showcase it better. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, because you got somewhere to show it now, right? And it's like, you know, like you got somewhere to show it, and then you got somewhere to like appreciate it. Yeah, and also, you know, the land ownership brings this thing that it's like it's just becoming more tangible. Yeah, I mean, how many people here have galleries or NFTs in their places? I see a bunch. Isn't that fun? And like, and you're building it up, and then and then you see a blank wall, and you're like, I got to go buy something new.
Exactly.
I don't know, that
It's exactly like this. Yeah.
happens.
It's expensive hobby, all right? It's a blank
It makes
walls.
the
blank-
argument against it, but it's not real though. But it is real. It's hanging on my wall.
Exactly. It's like blank
Yeah.
walls are
VR.
expensive hobby here. Don't. So
Yeah.
maybe the learning is when you build in VR world, build with less walls because less blank walls, more money in your wallet. All right. Maybe that's the rule. I don't know, but you are absolutely
Yes.
right. So shall we go a few floors down and then explore another part of the gallery?
Yeah, sure. You guys up for that?
Let's-
I'm so happy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right, let's follow our tour.
Follow the stream. Follow the stream. All right, let's go one more down. Oh, whoop, whoop. Wait. Yeah, all right. We go down to 2008.
Oh, come on.
And
We're not
what do-
afraid of
what do we have
spraining
here?
ankles,
Okay,
we
we
can
have
just do the
here
hold and die.
this one we didn't talk about still. So,
Oh, this is a cool one.
this
These
one,
are
yeah.
my good NFTs. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is this? This is like a dark something in what? I don't even see what's in there. Like what's shown there? Tell us more.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and that okay. Well, first of all, yeah, you'll see it when I tell you what it is. So, this is my first 3 NFTs on Super Rare. Were this and it's my robot trying to imagine a face. So
Oh, okay.
I trained it on a lot of faces, and when you see that, you might get this periodonta or whatever, however you say that word. Well, you'll see a face emerging from it now that I've said that. You know,
Uh-huh,
there's the eye
uh-huh.
sockets.
Yeah.
So the robot would try and imagine a face, then paint it, and at the same time, the cameras would be trying to recognize a face. And as soon as the robot would use a generative adversarial network, generate a face, paint it, and as soon as the camera recognized the face using a bunch of different facial recognition algorithms, it stopped painting. And so I painted hundreds of these, like maybe 200-300 of them over time. And I won a really big contest in 2018 called Robot Art. It got first place.
Nice.
And so that sort of like launched me into
Is it
another level.
Is it tokenized?
3 of them are, yeah. One
And-
of them is actually, Hackatow is selling one of these for, I think, 200 ETH. If you guys want one, it's steel. Bargain. So-
Hackatow, talk to me.
Okay, let me check my wallet.
Exactly. Talk to me. All right. Okay.
So, and then the
cool.
other 2 are, I think, and there's 2 more, but I don't think one of them's owned by Prometheus, and the third one
is
I think.
Mocha owning
yeah.
any of your art? Do the guys own something?
Yeah.
Of your... Okay. Do they have it in their
have
Mocha
a
here
couple.
in the museum?
Yeah, I just yeah.
All right.
They
cool.
have. I used to do one thing. There's about 2 or 3 years where I had my robots painting other robots. It was really popular, but it became too much of a gimmick for me, so I stopped doing it. But they have one of there's another robot artist named Joanne Hasty who's amazing, and we painted each other's robots. We did like a portrait swap,
Nice.
and so that's the one hanging at Mocha.
Oh, cool.
So-
All right. So let's go one floor down. We're going to. Oh, by the way, those images you used on those pillars here in between the floors, what are they? Is it something
Yeah.
special? Because I see some
It's the same thing,
faces
it's
in
the
there.
faces.
Oh yeah, I just want to say I see some faces in there. All right, good. I'm not going crazy.
Remember
it's faces.
I remember I told you
Yeah.
I did 200 or 300 of them. Those
Yeah.
are
Okay, those
bunch
are.
of 'em.
All right.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay,
The
so
robot
here
seems very
here we have
happy in
some
his color
colorful
schemes.
stuff here. For example, this one,
yeah.
some pink.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yellow. I love it actually. I love this color things. So can you tell more
Thanks.
about those? What is this?
Yeah, first of all, this is Super Rare Roses owns
Mhm.
this one. It's an NFT, and this is where the first time I put together the creative mind. So like I was telling you about, I use all these different algorithms and feedback loops. This was the first time I put 24 algorithms together, and I gave them a volume. They say use me. So all of them were fighting for the next 10 brushstrokes or 100 brushstrokes.
Oh,
And this started off as actually, there's a whole animation behind this where it starts off at a photo shoot with my wife. It goes from a representational picture to her and just gets more and more and more abstract as all the algorithms fight for control of the paintbrush. And it's one of my, this is actually when I left the world, like everyone is into CNNs and GANs and neural
oh,
networks.
what's
This is
CNN
when
by
I
the
s-
way? Because many people will say like CNN,
Oh, I'm
Fox
sorry.
News. What's happening there?
Yeah, I
So
know.
what is CNN?
Yeah. CNN is style transfer. It's a convolutional neural network, and it's the one that
Okay.
runs style transfer. So that's that one on all our photo filters make me look like a Picasso or a Van Gogh.
All right.
So And then, I'm sorry, GANs are generative adversarial networks. They're the ones that
Cool.
imagine.
All right.
They're just two very popular neural nets. So this is when I went away from just neural networks and I went into like, I want this to be, there's this really famous theory about how our mind works. It's called the Society of Minds, and it's by Marvin Minsky. Came up with it back in the 70s, and he's like, we're not one single intelligence, but we have like intelligent minds in our head, and they're always fighting, sort of like that Victorian era. You got an angel on one shoulder, a devil on the other. Our mind's always telling us different things, and one of them always wins out. So like whenever you're deciding to do something, if you ever feel conflicted, part of you says do this, don't do that. That's your mind fighting with itself. So this goes into that society of minds. Instead of one creative algorithm, I've got 24, and they're all fighting for control of the paintbrush. One of them saying put more contrast. Another saying, apply a style transfer, a CNN style transfer. Another saying it's too messy. Do the feedback loops, make it clean, and they fight. And I think this is maybe 24,000 brush strokes.
Oh, wow.
After 24,000 brush strokes and like maybe 240 of these fights, this painting came together.
I can only say that
way more.
This was a very productive and beautiful fight of the robots. Like who could imagine? Oh, wait a second, what? Oh my goodness, I don't know. Because I was standing more close to this image, and I actually didn't realize. And I just looked at my tablet, VR tablet, through which I'm live streaming it. It's a face. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it first. I just realized because I looked at the image of me standing there, and I was like, oh wait, it's from here. It was like just cool. Wow. Okay, I love it.
Yeah, it started off as a portrait of his wife, correct?
Is it? Yeah. I now realize it. I was listening, but I didn't realize it first. So, is this for sale somewhere, or is it already sold, or is it not tokenized?
It's already sold.
It's already sold. Of
And
course.
it was part of the Super Air Roses has the NFT version, but it was actually toured as part of this like contest, not a contest, is this this art show where it was asking people. 7 paintings were commissioned, 6 of them by humans and 1 by the robot, and it was like this Turing test. Can you figure out which one was painted by? And this was never picked. It was never picked. It was always the other paintings. And
Nice.
and so it's like so when you ask, is it create? Oh, and the other thing I should mention is I have a whole long write up about this painting at my website. I made no creative decisions in this. In fact, what happened
It's
is
amazing.
the people commissioning the art, they gave every artist a color palette, and they gave every artist 8 paintings from history, and they're like, use these 8 paintings as your inspiration, and use this color palette. And that was the inputs I gave to the robot. That's it. And I let it do its thing. And presumably that's what the other artist did.
So awesome.
And thanks.
All right.
This is yeah.
Everything is awesome except one thing. Everything is sold out, and you have to pay 200 ETH to buy something like that. Okay, that's a sad part of. And that's a sad part of the whole conversation, or maybe a happy one. I don't know. Depends for whom. For the collectors like us, it's a little bit sad. For those who already own the art, it's pretty good stuff.
I love doing portraits of the community. So there's always commissions, and here's even cool. If you're a commission, you want to like collaborate with the AR, and you want this commission, and you don't mind not having the NFT, we collaborate. The robot, you do a little work. I don't care if you're into art or not. You do a little work. Send me your portrait.
What if
some like favorite pieces of art?
I'll
do a little work. The robot will do most of the work.
I have a crazy
and
idea.
then what do you think?
What if I send you some selfies of my avatar? And
That'd be awesome.
That would be the first representation of a digital human being, of an AI robot, on a portrait. That would be wow. Like
that would be fun. Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing is like if you don't, I'd love to sell someone's NFT. So if you want to get it yourself, that's fine. But also like if you don't mind just having a piece of art made about you and then see what other people are willing to pay for it.
I'll DM you. We'll
people
talk
would want
that.
yours definitely.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because this like
how do you
representing an AI art of a digital avatar, huh? That definitely. Okay, I'll be saving for that as well. I mean, I would want to own one of mine. So I'll talk to some collectors and say, you buy it, I'll pay you later, whatever. So
we'll get into Mocha, and you can always visit it. At Mocha.
Exactly. It's like that piece will not move from this spot ever. Locked down. All right. Cool. So, and here next to it right away, I think it's a process of this art piece creation, right? Or is it? Wait. This is the
Yeah. It's
this
just
is the
the robot
painting.
painting it. One of
Oh,
my
this is the
robots.
robot. Okay, this is the
Yeah.
robot painting. All right. So
So
let's
it's
go.
one of my robots.
Let's
Yeah.
go one floor down.
My cash
We're
too,
going.
and
We're
I
going
still can't
to.
see it
Oh, by the way,
anymore.
for the audience, we'll when we go to one floor down, we will. Oh, wait, we will actually. You can guys ask questions as well later on, so no problem.
What's up, Box? How you been?
So here we have. Okay, we have the process. We looked at it already on the art. Okay, here we have this. Someone with the blue, white, beige thing. What is happening there? Can you tell us?
Yeah, this is my son. This is
Cool.
a feedback loop, and this is one of the available ones. It's on Super Rare. You'll find it there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's under the. I have 2 accounts on Super Rare though. It's autonomous is the ones when it's just hands off with the robot, and then there's Pindar, and that's when I work with the robot. But this one's under autonomous. I just had to take Kitty Simpson, this photographer I work very closely with, took several photos, and we just gave her photos to the robot, and the robot painted it. And we had no inputs. We just let it happen.
How is it possible that AI, you say robots, right? But how is it possible that AI keeps the same style in the whole painting? Is it because you code the AI in a certain way for that painting, or it's just because it started a certain way and they want to continue the certain way?
Yeah, on this one, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. On this one, the way it keeps its style is it has those feedback loops, so it does only 100 brushstrokes at a time, the whole painting, and so it's repeating the same 100 patterns,
right?
Just like just in different areas with different colors,
right?
And just paints away the differences. But this one, autonomous, the autonomous keeps the same style the whole time. The other styles, the more colorful ones, I will change. Like I'll go into it and say something different's working, or I'll change the algorithms, and it might go through 5 or 6 different algorithms. That the painting we just looked at, I think it went through like 8 stages. The one upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this one stays in one stage, one style.
All right, love it. And what is cool is, and I'm showing it to the viewers who are watching. By the way, hello everyone who is watching in the live stream. I see some numbers of people there. So when we go further from the image, it looks completely different from when we come closer to it. It's just so cool. All right. So let's hop to the lowest floor, one floor down, and then we open the floor for questions from the community. So 2020, here we go. All right, 2020.
There's a picture there, Pindar.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I can see this. Okay, this is your wife, and we talked about this image. This is your wife, and this is a robot painting your wife. Let's look close up to this because this is a very good resolution here to have a look. Okay, maybe can you say a few words about like the parts of the robot? So here. What is it? This is the cartridge for the color, or what is this actually? No, this is the arm, right? Or can you just explain?
Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's the arm. Here, I'll go over here. This is obviously the arm, and then right here you can see the camera. So it's always always looking down at the.
Yes.
So whenever when you watch it, it's always taking pictures of what it's doing. Then I put the paints down here. And this is something my robot doesn't do by itself. It gives me a palette every so often. Every stage, it tells me the palette it wants. Then I have to actually give it the palette. And so I mix its palette for it.
A question.
I'm its assistant.
So what I find fascinating about your process is that the robot has to physically turn, move the arm, and put the strokes into the paint, and then go back and then paint. Didn't you think about like a style where you have like cartridge of paint and we'll be just rotating and doing like some, I don't know, maybe that's also a thing and people do that, or what's better? But this is more authentic for sure, 100%. But
that would be easier. I've tried putting a tube down the middle of a brush and squirt paint through it. That's a problem. The problem is it just gets messy. And if you jump, like one of my favorite algorithms that finally figured it out is like, you guys know the color wheel, if you remember that. I make sure that as I go through these colors, I never jump between complementary colors. I never jump from a red to a green. I'll paint red, and then if I get an instruction to paint green, I'll find somewhere on the canvas I have to paint blue, and I'll go from red to blue, paint blue a little bit, a little purple. The brush cleans itself, and then from blue I'll jump to red.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I go
I
around
got
the
it.
color
I got
wheel
it.
as I go,
Yeah.
and that's but that's how I keep it from becoming a mess. I think I got the colors mixed up in detail there, but you guys get it. Go around
Yep,
the color
yep,
wheel, not
yep.
across the color
Totally.
wheel. And then on the left here, you can see this is where it cleans the brush. There's this big like just I put tape there, and there's a big water well under there.
The blue box or what the blue thing?
Yeah, that
Okay.
blue box. It's
Okay.
just a bunch of tape that I replace every painting. Blue tape, painter's tape that you
Nice.
guys use to line your walls, and it's just whenever it changes colors, it goes paints a little over there to get rid of the colors on the brush, just to clean it up a little bit.
Incredible.
That's why it takes so long. These things take. If I'm lucky, this painting here took 3 days, constant. If
Wow.
I'm lucky, it takes 3 days.
Is it like
So-
when it's painting for the 3 days? Is it like you can go for a coffee or for a sleep, or you have to constantly be there next to
Yeah.
the robot?
No, I it's always running in the background, and I'm listening to it, and I adjust it if it's going wrong or doing something wrong. Yeah,
Well,
it
you
doesn't
should-
need much.
You know what you should do? You should tokenize an NFT of a painting, which robot created, but as a background sound, you should do the noise of the robot while it was
that's a
painting
good
this.
idea.
It's a really
Yeah,
like
those. Oh my gosh, audio NFTs are so hot right now.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I was wondering, because I do time lapses, but the time lapses.
yeah, but
I was
with
wondering
the
how you-
audio, like you'll hear the robot doing. You know, like this is cool. Like that would be
Yeah, that's a
authentic.
good idea. Thank you.
No
That's
worries.
a great idea.
No royalties advice. All right, so we open the
10%.
floor to the questions of the public. By the way, hello everyone. Say hello to the stream. Whoop whoop. So,
Hello,
any
everyone.
questions? Anyone? Yeah, Wilson.
So, Pindar.
Wait, sorry, Zed. Wilson
As-
was the first
yeah,
one to
yeah.
raise the hand.
No worries.
What's
Has
up,
the,
Wilson?
has the robot ever had a meltdown and says, "That's rubbish," and
That's what I'll know. I've done it. I've done a good job. Of course, that's the question of like, when people are asking if it's art. Of course, it's not art, and it'll only be art when it says this is bullshit, and it just stops working, and then it knocks over my coffee, and then it's like points at the floor and says, "That's your
Just
art
like
right there." Yeah,
chuck
or
on
it
the
hits me.
floor.
Just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, that's when we'll know it's making art, because it has to be a person, or it has to be communicating something with us to make art. So it's obviously not close to there yet.
All right, Zed.
Pindar, so the vast majority of the work that you've been doing is acrylics or oils or
Acrylics, but it's like I specially mix them because I got to keep. They're mixed between watercolor and acrylics, because like I was telling you, it takes 3 days, and I sometimes leave all the paints out overnight. Acrylics dry up too fast, so I have to get
Yeah,
them to
that's
this
what I was
really, and that's why they
going
drip
to
a lot
ask you.
too. You see the drips, so I
Y-
put like
yeah,
a lot of
it was
water.
a very nice effect too that you guys had with that, especially since you're saying you have the different coating processes that kind of relay the different styles, and then it's trying to battle against each other, which was
Yeah.
very unique. I just didn't know if you actually did that with watercolors as well, where you try to do like dry brush techniques first, wetting the paper beforehand for the bot or not.
No,
Or if
it's
it
not that
actually did that
sophisticated.
itself. Yeah.
Does the robot
I've seen-
understand, obviously, paint drying, all the process of actually doing the paintings from scratch? Because obviously an
it
artist
doesn't.
takes time, allows the layers
Yeah.
to dry, masks off.
Yeah,
Does
it
it-
doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't. It's actually bad. It's like I have algorithms, but they're not true understanding. I have algorithms like after you paint a spot, stay away from that spot for a little while.
Mhm.
But it's like what you're suggesting is awesome. What you're suggesting is what I do when I paint. It's like I put the paint and I start painting, and I say, oh, I'm painting red, but the red's coming out
Can't
white
touch that.
because the
Yeah.
paint's already wet. Stop. You get that immediate feedback. I have so much stuff on my to-do list. I'd love to get that feedback. Like you pick a color, and then you're painting, and the color's not coming out the way you want. Then you're like, stop. I know it will. If it messes up, or if imagine the drips. If I've sectioned off an area, don't go here anymore because it's wet. But since some of that paint drips down, and it's down like 4 inches, and the robot's painting down 4 inches, it'll tear right through that wet paint and make a
Mhm.
mess. Now,
But
luckily,
just obviously,
yeah.
like a child, you learn how to paint over time. Obviously, the algorithm, it's just like computer learning. So obviously, at some level, that has to be built into the code, so it understands that's wet, don't touch. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it should. It should. It should
So-
maybe like, yeah.
For you and our autonomous, what is your goal, let's say 5 years from now, for the artistic level, or what the work you'll produce next?
Oh, that's a 5-year goal. Wow. I never know. It's always a surprise. I guess a lot of it I want to get more detail. I want to get more detail. I want to get, I'll tell you some like practical goals like that on my to-do list. I want more detail. I have a brush changer that I've designed, I've built, but it doesn't change brushes. So it'll paint and it'll ask me to change brushes for it. So it'll paint, and then maybe after 4 hours it needs to change brushes. I'll go and swap the brushes. I want to do automatic brush changes. I want to do automatic paint mixing. If you see down the side, there's 12 colors. I'd like to go instead of, and it picks those 12 colors, and it does a little mixing like on the canvas, like but I want to do it like where I have those 12, and next to those 12 I have another 24 buckets, and then it just gets exponential. You know, it can take the blue, the white, and then make a light blue, and then I want to do that. I want to twirl the brush, like, you know, like you don't realize this, but artists like twirl the brush when to get really nice lines. I want to, I've gotten 12 brush strokes programmed in there, 12 different ways of doing brush strokes, but I just want to make it more elegant. Yeah,
So
those are
could-
the main things.
Could that be done on a second layer, like a digitized version? Obviously, once you've done that part, just like normal artists do in the digital scene, they take an image of that part and then do a superimposed version with Photoshop or something over the top to get more detail. Would your algorithm be able to control that system to put more detail into the drawings?
Maybe. Well, I mean, I try and, I guess the crutch, the thing I try and keep is I try and keep it so that I'm always, it's the brush stroke. So I try, like there's something I do in Autonomous where we'll superimpose the digital image on our Autonomous to make these really nice prints. So you'll have an original, because we get a lot of orders outside the NFT world, you know, a lot of commissions. You know, NFT is very popular with crypto art and AI, but you know, these are portraits. So, and you can see I've probably done, someone asked me the other day, and I don't know how many portraits I've sold over the years, but it's probably close to 2,000. It's getting up there. And so one thing they like is they like the original painting. Then right next to the original painting, a print, but with like a 25% like of the face over it, so it gets a little more detail in the eyes. Because to answer your question, is like that's one thing I want to get more, is I want to get higher detail and more refinement. But like I guess, yeah. Oh, we don't have my son behind me anymore. Yeah, it's just always making it better. It's got so, think about it this way. Think about how you look in these paintings, and I'm so flattered. Thanks, guys, that you think they're great, and I think they're good. But man, they're not close to what artists do, like, you know, talented, skilled artists do. And so,
But
where
maybe
would I
that's
be
the
in
whole
5
beauty
years?
of it, right? Maybe the imperfection is the actual, maybe it's the actual beauty of all of that, right? Because perfect,
Yeah.
I don't know. At least for me, it's kind of like,
Well, I mean, perfectionism, yeah, is kind of vague and kind of
yeah,
in the eye of the beholder. Because I mean, some people look at Van Gogh's work and they don't see it as skillful, yet I mean, others love it with the entirety of their heart. So
yeah,
I mean,
I'm just trying, like, especially like for me, and this is just very subjective, okay? There's no even, I'm not trying to be objective or something, but for me, it's like, okay, when I look at the person's art, who, you know, so I actually tend to go more for a perfection style thing, because it was a person and I want the person to kind of do a good job. I don't know if it makes sense, but when I look at the robot and it's AI, you know, it's something which is still, you know, learning it. We're already advanced a lot, but it's still in infancy, right? I think imperfections become an interesting point and an interesting part of the art. It's like a part of the story. And that's why I found your build, and we will, you know, when we'll finish right now, before we turn off the stream, we will show the build from outside. Like, that's why we've stumbled upon that build, and we found it super interesting, because like there's a whole history on different floors of the whole art. And you kind of like, if you go through that, you kind of see how the art evolves, if it makes sense. And it really is the whole point of, at least to me, why it is so attractive. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of technical things, but in the end of the day, it's like AI making some decisions, learning and becoming better, still with its own imperfections, and those imperfections are iconic.
Oh wow, thanks.
One last question from me, I guess, is
Yeah.
Pindar, what is your favorite style to see autonomous paint in?
The style I love is I love this painting style. I just love it because it's just like it's been developing over time. I think when we're up at the website, there was that first portrait.
Right.
It was and there's a cool thing, and this will build on what Archer said. Is I got rid of, so I have like 12 different brush planning. How do you plan the brush strokes? And some of them are very smooth, like you saw in the portrait of my son. Very smooth. They follow the contours of the face. It actually looks. But then I got away from. I used to have this thing like you'll look at my early stuff, always cross hatching, always these 45-degree angles and lines, straight lines, and it looks robotic. And I got rid of those because I was like, I wanted to look less robotic. And there was a backlash among fans and friends. They're like, no, exactly what you were saying. They're like, bring back those straight strokes. So I love it when it's like a portrait like this with paint dripping because the robot's imperfect. And then there's cross hatches and it looks like a painting, but then you're asking yourself when you look at it, it's like, okay, it looks like a human painted, but how did he get these perfectly spaced 45-degree angle brush strokes all over the place?
Right.
And so it's like it plays a little trick on you, and it's an artifact of the fact that it's a mechanically reproduced. I'll take that back. I've never done a reproduction. It's a mechanically produced painting, and like that's my favorite part about it.
I
That's
can
what
tell
I
you
like.
one thing which happened to me right now, like 10 seconds ago. I know you'll be laughing, and the viewers definitely will be laughing, and you will call me crazy, maybe rightfully so. But I was standing here looking at the art. I smelled the smell of paint. I was just like, where's the paint here? Like, I can smell the paint. The brain is pretty much playing the tricks on us, and it's proven that you can actually smell something if you see something and if you think about something. Like, it just literally happened to me. I swear. Like, I was starting to feel the smell, and I was even like trying to look around, like in my room, like, is it what's happening here? So yeah, the power of our brains being tricked here. All right, I think with that, I would like to thank Pindar for being today with us in his amazing gallery. I enjoyed that a lot. Hopefully, our audience here, live audience as well, and those who were watching the live stream,
clap.
of course, comment where you are watching on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope and Twitter. Just retweet, comment, like, do whatever you need to do to share this to the world. And before we conclude, before we turn it off, let's go outside a little bit and watch and look at the gallery from the outside perspective, because it's an
really
epic.
interesting.
Look at this build. Wow. So that's what actually brought us here. At the first place, we were walking by and we said, oh my goodness, what are those years? What is this art? So we just look at this building and we were not able to not go inside and look at it. So Pinder, amazing job, well done.
Oh, thanks so
Great
much.
build, good neighborhood, by the way. We're neighbors, so good choice.
Oh, is that yours right there?
No. This is Ox.
You're
Mine are
across the
those.
street
Mine
there,
are those cyberpunk,
Right. Yeah.
much less
Thank you
artistic,
for-
but also built.
No, there's a great.
Yeah, Nature Warp's art is in that 360
Yeah.
bubble in the disco, which is cool. So again,
And-
one more time, thank you very much. Was a lot of fun. And until the
Thanks.
next time, next episode of Crypto Artist Spotlight will be coming sometime soon. So see you on the other side of the monitor. Goodbye.
Oh, thanks, Arthur.
Let me turn on the stream.
Thanks so
one
much.
second.
Hey, can I just quickly say that I didn't even mean to